figure, this is something that they could consider. The third thing is that we need to double down on our efforts in terms of offering employment integration supports during and after the pandemic. We have to walk in lockstep with newcomers who are going to be arriving now and following the pandemic, because again, they're entering a very difficult labor market. Their outcomes may never be on par with the immigrant arriving during a stronger economic period through no fault of their own. And so we're going to have to identify interventions to support them as much as we can so that they don't fall through the cracks and have far depressed economic outcomes in the years and decades to come.
Great. Thank you, Kareem. It's interesting because one of the questions posed, I think it was Rahula, I'm sorry, I'm looking back, had Rahila, sorry, had also asked about work integrated learning opportunities. And I know that that overlaps with the post-secondary part too that you've been talking about, Robert, but it certainly speaks to the need to have some kind of an intervention so that international students can develop the work experience they need. So we're going to conclude this with James. I'd like James to comment on all of this information because I know this is your new job, so you get it right away. And I'd like you to comment on maybe some of the directions you might take from this, and then we'll just wrap up after that. Thank you.
Well, I have to say this was very informative. It was extremely interesting to hear the breadth of views and perspectives on Canada's immigration system, immigration process, international students, settlement integration services, the realities of those who are in Canada on temporary status and their prospects looking forward, given the current situation and the ongoing effects that we expect this crisis to have, over the next, one hopes, months, possibly years, ideally just months. But back to what was commented on, I think I'd like to start with one sort of reference for everyone. If ever you have a chance, recommend you looking Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, bracket 1, which is the objectives. There are objectives A through J for immigration, and then a second set that are objectives for refugee program. And you will see that our job is a balancing act, trying to do all those things with one system, with one set of various skills, but within one integrated system. Support the economy, deal with refugee protection, assist family reunification, provide timely service. Those are all complex bits of our operation that all have to come together in the work that we do. So it is challenging and very interesting, and it does make for sometimes policy that may not satisfy every aspect of what would be desired and aspired to. The second point I think is, I think we need to make a distinction between where we are today, which is in the context of responding to an unprecedented crisis. I don't think anybody, myself included, I was in Brazil the day that the borders closed, and in disbelief that it happened so quickly. A week before, we were planning for all kinds of events that were going to promote Canada as a destination for everybody in the country, and those basically were, a week later, just acts of folly and imagination, because the world had changed completely. And fast forward to a year, it's been a year of managing a crisis in which I think Canada has shown quite a bit of resilience and creativity in responding to what's been happening, from the facilitation for international students, to looking at ways to harness the talent that's already in Canada, whether working or studying. Mikhail made reference to the very large round of invitations under the Canadian Experience class on February 13th, I think that's a reflection of taking some very drastic action to say, look, we have talented people, people that have managed to enter their profiles into the system, and Mikhail will recognize this, that it has a minimum entry criteria, which is a bar set to be equivalent to the ability to qualify under one of the existing federal economic programs. So every pool theoretically has what it takes to succeed in Canada under normal circumstances. So an invitation round that took the ball was an attempt to harness that talent and find a fast track for them to remain in Canada, recognizing that it'll be some time before the talent from overseas can make it into the country in sort of a normal set of circumstances. Lots of interesting policy proposals. I think they're all great. I've taken copious notes, which I will bring back to my colleagues to discuss. Absolutely, there are some things that are things that were done in the context of this crisis that reflect, we believe, a desire to attain that objective, the objective of maintaining high immigration numbers, probably counter to what many other countries are doing currently. Canada, has had this policy and wants to maintain it, and has pronounced, at the political level often, that this is a direction we're pursuing, one that sees larger numbers in time over the medium term, with a goal to support the economy as it recovers in all its various permutations. So that is fundamentally what is behind some of what you've seen in terms of policy responses. And I think it will continue to inform those policy responses going forward. When we respect international students specifically, a few years back, we published the International Student Strategy, which at the time aimed to attain a particular number of international students, and to make that source of talent one of the main sources of talent that we were going to be pursuing into the future. I think the reflection of the policy changes, such as extending flexibility for renewals of open work permits, the ability to, yes, in some cases, pursue your education entirely overseas to then be able to access Canada at some point, is all linked to that direction, the desire to maintain that despite the challenges that we face currently. And I think fundamentally, looking back at our experience with immigration since the beginning of our country, it's been a positive one, and one that when we speak about our experience overseas, is astounding how often Canada is pointed out as having such a successful system, and yet we spend a lot of time trying to perfect what is, by and large, historically a very successful program. It's not without challenges, and it is not without risks, but the goal here is to maintain that the success that has marked our program from the beginning into the future. And part of that is innovation and responding to changes as they occur, and also to take the feedback that comes from everywhere: academia, business, the student groups, thinkers, everyone. I think that feedback really does help us improve and reflect and sort of consider what the possibilities are, and in an effort to continue to, of course, get better results over time. And it is sometimes unclear, but I think overall the goal is to maintain what we have, which has been very highly successful. I think we could all agree on that. Thank you. I think that it's a very interesting time, and I'm certainly going to take these your feedback back with me to IRCC and the rest of the federal family involved in this very interesting policy and program discussions.
Thank you, James. I appreciate that. I'd like to thank you, and I'd like to thank the rest of our panelists for sharing their opinions. What we're going to do to make sure that they're heard in a number of different venues is, as I mentioned, we'll put the recording on our website. We're going to put together a policy digest that will be shared with everyone who has attended. We've got a number of issues in the chat, and I do wish that this was a 2-hour meeting, but it's only an hour and a half, so we won't be able to move forward. I'd like to thank SSHRC, who funds the Building Migrant Resilience in Cities partnership, and our working group, who spent a lot of time putting this together. It's a number of universities led by York, and in this particular case, we were also including the New Canadian Center of Excellence, who had a lot of input as well. So thank you, everyone, for attending, and have a great day. Thank you.